Poised for Exit is the weekly show for business owners and advisors who want smarter strategies, stronger companies, and better exit outcomes. I'm your host, Julie Keys, award-winning certified exit planner, speaker, and lifelong entrepreneur, helping private company owners build value, plan well, and exit on their own terms. Every exit has real stakes. That's why Poised for Exit brings in top experts to share practical insights that help owners grow value, reduce risk, and create stronger outcomes. Now, let's jump in. Welcome, everybody, to the Poised for Exit podcast show. We've got another special feature for you today. We have lawyers and partners in a firm who happen to be father and son, and they're also SEPAs and friends of mine. And we're going to talk with them about their law practice, exit planning services, and the different kinds of services that they provide to their clients that are quite unique and very, very impactful. So you're going to want to stick around for this one. We'll be right back. Thinking about selling your business in the next few years? Don't wait to start planning. I've seen too many business owners wait too long and regret it. Freedom Financial Partners are financial advisors who specialize in exit planning for business owners, helping you reduce tax surprises, protect what you've built, and quantify how much you need from the sale. Their proven process helps you think beyond your business so you can move forward with clarity and confidence. The longer you wait, the fewer options you may have. Download your free financial readiness assessment today at ffpforme.com/exit. That's ffpforme.com/exit.
This is Andy Kosamba, president of Calhoun Companies. We understand that selling your business is a big deal. Since 1908, Calhoun Companies has been confidently connecting buyers and sellers. From small family shops to large corporations, our expert brokers walk with you and guide you every step of the way, whether you're looking to retire or simply for a fresh start. If you're curious what your business could sell for, or if you're ready to start the process, head to calhouncompanies.com for a free and confidential consultation. Calhoun Companies, the confident choice for buyers and sellers.
My name is Todd Crow, and I'm the president of the Twin Cities Exit Planning Chapter. If you're a business owner and advisor and want to learn more about the world of exit planning, you're invited to visit the Twin Cities chapter of the Exit Planning Institute. You can expect top-level education delivered by subject matter experts at every monthly meeting. Grow your network and draw from the learning that could be a game changer for your business or your practice. There's no pressure to become a member, so come and see what the buzz is all about. Our meetings are held the second Wednesday of the month, 7:30 to 9 a.m. See the show notes for more information and registration links.
Hey, Poised for Exit listeners. We are here in the virtual studio today with Joe Strazzeri and Sal Strazzeri, who are both with Strazzeri Mancini Law Firm. And I'm just super excited to have the two of you here in this studio and doing this podcast together. So welcome to Poised for Exit, guys.
Welcome. Thank you so much, Julie. Good to see you.
Glad to be here. Good to see you too. Yeah, for sure. So Sal, when did you join the firm? Let's start with you. Tell us about how this came to be, and then Joe can share maybe some backstory as well, so people can kind of get to know you if they're not familiar with your firm and what you do.
Sure. So first started when I was just a kid, cleaning out trash cans, clerical stuff, sorting through files. Over summer of high school, in between football practices, I would then formally start at the firm. After all of that and working over the summers, I had come back over COVID and then worked full-time while I was in school doing Zoom University. I started with front desk, managing phones, and then I also handled a scanning project, which was, have you heard of Iron Mountain?
Yeah.
Iron Mountain's so Iron Mountain handles the holding all of those documents. This guy and his partner, Steve Mancini, had 700 boxes.
Yes.
From the 80s up until the early 2000s.
Oh, my.
I scanned through all of them over a year and a half.
Wow.
It took a while.
You must have had earbuds or some kind of entertainment to go through that kind of project.
Me and my buddy Nick were, parsing away at these files, taking out staples, taking out paper clips and all that stuff, listening to podcasts, all kinds of stuff. So I did that, went to law school, completed that in 2 years, got my LLM in a semester, came back, and then I started working full-time after I took the bar.
Wow, that's a cool journey. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you're a SEPA, of course.
I got my SEPA at 21, so I'm the self-dubbed youngest SEPA.
Well, you have to be, and if you're not, you're close.
Right. I would think I'm probably close, but I don't think there's anyone that got it at 21.
It won't be long before you become an exit planning thought leader starting out at that age. Like you're going to have all kinds of followers because by the time, a certain generation is ready to transition out, they'll be like, I've heard of this Sal guy. I've heard he's like a rock star. Learned everything he knows from his dad, so I'm going to that firm and they're going to take care of me.
Well, I mean, just like Floyd Mayweather and Khabib, I'm only here because of the amazing people in my corner and because my dad started me off when I was young. That's the only reason why I made it this far.
Because your dad is brilliant, by the way.
You're very kind.
Well, let's hear from you, Joe. So you and I have known each other for quite a while now.
Yes, ma'am. You were just a baby.
I would like to have you just share a little bit about the firm, how you founded the firm, the work that you do. Obviously we're going to get into some of the other services and how everything, collaborates and correlates together. But let's hear about you first, and then we can go into some of the other stuff.
Sure. I've been partners with Steve Mancini for close to 30 years. Before that happened, both Steve and I were in businesses. So Steve was in the retail business that he grew with his father over time. I was a general contractor by trade at Hammer Nails at law school and a land developer. So I built and sold 2 businesses before I became an attorney at 32 and 1 cent. So I'm a bit, you said it, you teased me earlier. I'm a business owner that happens to own a law firm. So I am my own client. I'm batshit crazy assets, multiple entities, multiple partners, different kinds of investments, way too many personal use assets, lots of people that depend on this happening. And over time, Exit Planning Institute helped me with the idea that good exit planning was great business planning.
Yes.
And it made me more independent of my own firms. I was a good operator before, but I didn't build things that were viable without me. I didn't know that part. I learned from my dad how to run businesses that were dependent on the person who owned them.
Sure.
So that changed over time. Before we ran into EPI and SEPA for the first 20 some odd years of our practice, Steve and I partnered up. He was an estate planning and a probate expert.
Yep.
I was a businessman that decided to dive into tax, and we realized representing business owners was good for us. So we grew a traditional estate planning firm that started to focus more and more on affluent families, which by definition either had a real estate portfolio that was large or a business. And then the tax planning for it was fairly easy. Something that was important to us. So over time we grew. We're a mid-sized firm of what you'd call somewhere any given year, somewhere between 5 and 7 lawyers and staff, largely run by them. In the early days, it was the Joe and Steve show. And then we had people working for us. Now it's more our associates where we're allowed to help. Where do we end up now? Through all those years, about 5 years in, we realized that education was a great way. Education was a great way to not only develop business, but educate to motivate.
Yes.
Was a way to have advisors. If we educated them, they would include us in their client planning. But then we learned educating business owners and successful families to motivate them was better than scaring them. So we often say we only partner with successful business owners and families. It is not our job to tell you what to do. It's our job to partner with you. You teach us about your stuff and your family. We teach you about the law and taxes and financial, and then together we come up with a plan. So that became something that was Southern California Institute really got behind.
Yes.
It is that was for families and advisors. Now it's just families. The advisors are at the Othership Institute, where families teach families, no advisors in the room. The second one, Founders Group, was to help business owners what you and I, Julie, call value acceleration, which 25 years ago they didn't call it that.
Right.
We used to say helping business owners with the decision of keep and grow or sell or transfer to their family, their key employees, or a third party in whole or part now in the future. I sold off that part of that Founders Group business, and we kept the one sliver. So we still have the Southern California Institute. In Founders Group, we kept the one sliver of helping business owners in conflict, either between or amongst themselves, with them and their family, or internally. What am I supposed to do now? I'm successful. What's my option? I thought this would be easier now. And then lastly, those first 2 are 25 years old. The close to 30-year-old firm is Steve and me, Strazzeri Mancini. And that one helps successful families and business owners do 2 things. Get to the heart of highly relevant matters and what we're best known for, resolve messes in the areas of integrated tax, estate, asset protection, and business continuity planning. And we also do family synergy work where we do that conflict work just with families. Maybe it's been decades of toxicity and we help them. We found that when you add a lot of money, there's somebody who says, I want to protect everybody. But
Yes.
the access to that cash flow becomes a tool to either help people or a tool that ends up feeling like control. And it breeds some animosity, whether it's in a business or not.
Yes.
And the industries, legal, financial, and tax, all do better when the family's dysfunctional. And we think the family
course they
should
do.
be able to run their own stuff.
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time helping them love and trust each other again, and then learn how to manage their own versus people being in charge of their stuff. So that's kind of our history. Well, at this point, we
love
probably
that.
handle about 250 clients a year for base level estate planning. I've got a team of 3 lawyers that do that. The $1 to $30 million families. And for the $30 to $300 million families, it's about 80% of our revenue, but it's only 50 clients a year. And we do all of that for those. So that's how we came. Sal, I would have preferred, I would have preferred that he go in the real world and work as a lawyer or something else for 5 years. But my business partner, Steve, now his wife's health, Steve is 12 years my senior. I don't know that Steve has 10 more years in him. And Sal really wanted to play with Steve too, because Steve and I are and wherever you put a line that divides the circle evenly in yin and yang, you get black and white, even. And we've moved over the years. I was the volatile one early. He was not. That's kind of shifted. And a variety of other characteristics.
Sure.
So it's great for Sal to be able to absorb from Steve's perspective too, as mine. And now as
Absolutely.
he's training, he's got 8 lawyers training. So it's been a cool thing, and it warms my heart that we're together.
So Sal, tell us about your practice area. What are you focusing on right now? Like, what's your role, and then what does the future hold for you at the firm? What are your goals?
Right now, I'm focusing on estate settlement. So after somebody's already passed, handling their estate, whether or not we go through probate or not, handling their last will, last trust, divvying out all the stuff that they've got, and then closing out their estate. So that's what I'm going to be handling, number 1.
Got it.
After the next 6, 8, 10 months, however long it takes, hopefully less time than more, because we've been having conversations about efficiency over efficacy or doing it right. But this is one of those things where it's got to be done right no matter what. But again, fast tracking so I can, like my dad said, play more with my uncle in the legal field would be ideal. With that said, for right now, what I'm going to be doing is estate settlement. I'll also be doing some estate planning. The goal is to have 100 or so under my belt for having my own RLT meetings, RLT for revocable living trusts, handling the up to $30 million client. And then eventually, after I get a large enough sample size, enough counseling under my belt, then I'll be able to delve more into the front end side instead of the back end side of review, design, implementation, and maintenance for the Wealth Strategies clients.
Awesome. You're going to be so good at that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, Joe, you talked a little bit about the Founders Group, Care to Know, and Southern California Institute. And we talked before the show started about how both of us have circles of love, right? With the things
Yes.
that we're involved in that not only like tactically or strategically feed each other, right? There's that, but also promote your brand, help your audience, your prospects, whether they're advisors or business owners, actually get to know who you are and what you can do. And I love the education foot forward because that's me too. So I would like to have you, the two of you, just kind of talk a little bit more about those offerings, and then maybe what kind of impact, if you've got a couple of stories that you could share, regardless of whether they used 1 or 2 or just 3 of the services. But yeah, I think it would be good for our listeners to understand how it all fits together.
Sure. So let's kind of approach this from one set of stories that have 2 lenses to look through.
Sure.
One of the lenses is, how do advisors help families? And the other lens is, how do families choose advisors and have advisors help them? So through those two lenses, let's talk about this.
Absolutely.
You were right. Out of the three brands, they were a natural fit because as we looked at our target market, and as we looked at successful families and business owners and the advisors they work with them, we found some commonalities. One commonality was there's legal, financial, and tax planning, which are usually three separate disciplines that should be together. We're not financial advisors, so we would need to partner with great financial advisors that wanted to be a good quarterback, a good lead. And the way they get compensated year by year fits the model of them hanging with the client long term and pulling in people that are needed as they're needed and letting them go as that happens. So we identified that we were not the lead, but we were a good wingman.
Sure.
So our education would be on what the advisor needs and what the families need to understand the varied options to choose from, or to understand that there are options and there should be a process to do that. Beyond that, that kind of birthed the Southern California Institute and eventually the Othership Institute, because originally it was all in one, Southern California Institute, but then we broke off the families to the Othership Institute because they listen differently. We didn't know that when we first started.
When did you found the Othership Institute?
The Othership Institute for Families Teaching Families was a byproduct of Strazzeri Mancini's maintenance program for successful families.
Okay.
We would put on events called Gone Fishing for a Better Business, Better Life, the Balanced Life program in Hawaii, 1-day retreats, 2-day retreats, where it was social and education.
Yes.
But they were for our clients.
Of course.
And there were about 50 families that would come and go 10, 12 times a year, maybe 1-day programs, 2-day programs, or 5-day programs. And we found that they wanted to hang out with each other rather than be one at a time. So great, we started doing as a group. And they got to meet each other and they learned better from each other than people pitching them stuff.
Of course.
They started to ask, can we bring people? And I said, if they're immediate family, sure. And I remember one year there was a Korean family that brought their Puerto Rican cousins. And I looked over and I said, I think you're playing the game a bit. And they said, Joe, we love them. They deserve this, but you won't let them in the room. So from our maintenance program, then called Family Counselor, we branched into the Othership Institute, where families that are not our clients pay 10 grand a year to become part of the tribe. And we teach on, well, they get newsletters and they get information, but they get families who say, and let's say we're facilitating 3 families up front of the room, there's usually a subject, captive insurance companies or a financial investment, real estate syndication, drug and alcohol abuse in family, family generational wealth, family business transfer, whatever the subject is. A family where things went to shit, a family that's in the middle of trying to do it, and a family where it did really well. And then the audience exchanges conversation with them, and the audience starts to teach itself. So it became a great way for us to support our clients and then others past that. It is not a hunting ground for us to get business. It's a way for us to support. And we say, this is the kind of thing you should look for your advisor. And business-wise, those families say nice things to other families about us. So rather than me going to family office events where families are being pitched, instead it's about us in here. Sal recognizes the story that also drove this. I was at a family office event and one of our older lady clients had lost her husband. And she was in the audience and she flagged me over and she said, Joe, will you walk me to the bathroom? And I thought, oh my God, she's not that old. What? She's not unstable. What's wrong? I said, sure, honey. I put out my hand. We raised her. She got up and I gave her my arm and we walked to Lay's bathroom and she said, Joe, wait out here. And I said, great. I'm going to be the guy standing outside the bathroom. Women's bathroom. So she said, wait, right. I said, you want me to get one of my team members to walk in with you? She said, no, I don't need that. And as she walked out, there was another lady that was explaining a real estate syndication idea. And she looked at me and she shook her head and I came over, I gave her a hug and we walked away. I said to this other lady, ma'am, maybe we can meet later on. I'm her lawyer, I'm happy to talk to you. We're going back and I said, you don't seem unstable, what's wrong? And she said, Joe, I can't go to these events without being hunted. And it hit me. I called Steve and said, we've got to expand this past just our clients.
Yeah.
So that's how Othership got born.
I love it.
Of family counselor, expanding to families, and then this one event. And then we sought out a lady by the name of Kathleen Tepley, who'd been in that space for years.
Yes.
And she also had the desire to not have hunters hunting families, but be able to educate.
Yes.
So we made, as she would say, we made her an offer she couldn't refuse.
Awesome.
And she's now our executive director.
So much of what you just explained and described emulates the family business centers that I'm familiar with, where they have these family peer group kind of learning and education type things without the solicitation.
And, you know,
That's great.
I'm glad to be one of the ones that offer that.
Yeah.
It supports our own clients. It expands the tribe and that gives them more perspectives.
Yeah.
Our tribe of clients start to get to know each other and they start to believe in the same thing and they don't have the negative experiences and they get more exposure. And then their next generations start to interact with each other.
The common
kind of
ground
fun to
is,
watch.
yeah, it's huge. That being able to talk with someone else who's been in your shoes or is in your shoes, regardless if I'm helping you or you're helping me, there's a lot of, that's really great. There's a lot of benefit there. Lots of benefit.
One of Sal's favorite ones is in a few weeks. We go to Driggs, Idaho, and there's this resort that's 110 years old. Is it fourth or fifth generation? Do you know?
I think fifth generation.
I think it's fifth generation owned. It's just not a fishing place. They also own land at the bottom of the Tetons. And we go, it's an all-inclusive hangout, but it's rustic as all heck. It's old cabin. But it's kind of like going back in time to what's important. And, you know, when you go fly fishing, it's a quiet, slow-minded experience.
Yeah.
Even for people who've never done it, our guides are great about learning.
And this is your clients you're taking for this thing?
Yep. Or people from the Othership Institute. Usually 20 to 40 anglers. Some that have never fished, some that have, couples, kids. Jeff and his son will come, a variety of people. And it's no advisors again. We arrive, we have a day of fishing the next day and great meals and dinners, fabulous chefs. They make special stuff for Sal even. And then a day of insight and then a day of fishing, but your mind goes to a quieter place. And the heartfelt conversations, the occasional abject tears, the people who walk up and say to Sal, I just had a conversation with my dad that I've never had before. What do I do next? Or walk up to me and say, my daughter just told me something I don't know what to do with, Joe. I said, your job is to listen, my friend. Or what they're going through, can I go tell them what we did? Or, my God, I thought I was the only one.
Yes.
But the joy of fly fishing is kind of like our Hawaii programs. Hawaii is for all families. It slows the mind and slows the pace because of these things that I'm pointing at my friggin' iPhone.
Right.
We don't really have good connected conversations anymore. We don't offer long space to allow things to evolve. And we assume that first draft conversations are what people really mean. And it's funny, Julie, you do this all the time. You help people not live in first draft. They say something and you say, is that what you really meant? And is this how you plan on it landing? And they practice 2, 3, 4 times of saying it. And their fourth draft of what they say is so much more elegant and it lands in a way that causes a deeper conversation. You do that naturally. But oddly, with the pace of our society, and when you add more affluence, we live in first draft versus what we really mean.
Because there's no time for long space. They don't take the time for long space. You're giving that, you're fostering that.
But when you're stuck at Turtle Bay Resort, the Ritz-Carlton on North Shore, and you can't go anywhere, or you're stuck at this fly fishing resort and you're fishing, I've watched people have lunch conversations that they're so intense. And the only advice I usually have to give the older generation is do not react. Continue to listen and ask questions. Because if you react or you contradict, they're going to stop talking. And you're not going to get to the good stuff. Can you love your child or your spouse enough to not react and not ask questions that are judgmental, but instead ask questions where you say, I don't understand, this doesn't match that, help me understand. Those kinds of questions draw out more conversation where somebody gets to think through. Sal would say that we have a book called A Place to Think. Can you provide a place to think if you're an advisor for your clients or if you're a family member for other family members? And providing a place to think has less to do with telling, less to do with judgmental questions, and much more about giving somebody space to think to second, third, fourth, fifth level thought, to have second, fourth level, fifth level communication. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me of some old coaching training that I had before I became a SEPA. I was doing business coaching, and one of the concepts that I had to really learn about was level 3 listening. So similar to what you're talking about, right?
And then to your answer to your question, we interact with families or business owners. Yes, we've got legal, financial, and tax stuff down, but most people do a plan based on an immediate, urgent need for a moment in time, irrespective of what we'll do in the future, irrespective of what's in the mixing bowl, and irrespective of understanding their family better. So we slow down to have those conversations. You helped on one of these retreats, on one of the fly fishing retreats, you helped one of the men there think through something. What was that?
On one of our retreats, we had it was a beautiful wine pairing that was with some crazy food and crazy wines. What had happened was my dad goes out to go to the bathroom, take a break, do his thing, probably take a phone call or two, because that happens. He's like you said, he's a business owner first. That happens to practice law. So he steps out for a little bit, and there's this long pause after we have some conversations. So I ask, somebody starts to get emotional, and when the two of us see tears welling up in grown men that are very badass, we get very excited. And I said, so what's the tears for? What's going on? What's going through your head? And he sits back and he said, I busted my ass for my practice for all of these years to provide these amazing things for my kids. But I never got to be around my kids growing up. And I'm traveling to all these beautiful places in Africa, Asia, and all these crazy trips to be able to try to recover from the missed opportunities when they were kids. And he's bawling at this time. He's bawling. And every other man in the room, except for myself, already has a wife, kids, business that's gigantic. And I'm sitting around and I'm like, wow, these guys all feel exactly the same. This isn't a unique conversation. This is most business owners deal with something similar to that.
Yes.
I lost out on so many experiences because I was busting my ass for my business.
Yes.
One of the very unique things about my dad that I hope to carry myself is I will always say he busted his butt more than anyone I know. But he was always around. Always. The Disney trips, the times where I said, hey, Dad, I'm starting on the football team. You know, this is so great. This is so cool. I'm so excited. He shows up to the game and cancels his whole day just to see me start. Pretty cool. Despite the fact that he worked just as hard as them, if not harder, he was still always there. And that's a very cool balance that he's probably one of the only ones I know how to make it.
Yeah.
I hope to do that, but it's going to be a lot of work.
Well, I thank you for that. I will say, as I walk back to this meeting, I now walk, and there are a number of business owner males that are radically successful in the world. And 3/4 of them are crying. I walked away. I came back to a whole group of men crying, and this one's talking. And I'm thinking to myself, should I be scared or proud? And as I walk up, one of my friends looks at me and he nods his head like, this is really cool. What got me was, as Sal explored with that one gentleman what he was thinking, there were ages from 25 successful to 75 successful, all internalizing, and the conversation rolled up, and I heard Sal say to all of them, today could be your day to no longer be like that. Get the hook out of your mouth for how upset you are at the past, and decide what the future is going to be.
You can't change
and I watched men get up and give him hugs like it was new news to them. And then he had a conversation over first draft over fourth draft. And he said, you have conversations with people you love in first draft all the time because you're too busy. Are you willing to do fourth draft to kind of tie it together? Is that kind of what you were talking about?
I love it. I love it. It's awesome. So,
you know what? I'm sorry, Julie. Would it change how I run my business? Would it change my estate plan? Would it change my business plan? Would it change how my children take over or have to have guardrails if I lived life in fourth draft versus first and taught them how to and empowered them versus put guardrails around them?
Empowerment is always more favorable for like getting people to open up and, giving them a safe space, right? Versus setting ground rules and guardrails and all those kinds of things right out of the gate.
Well, I'm lucky because I hang out with people like you that have made a life in their business about helping people see a better way to do it and telling them it's honest to gosh your choice.
It is.
And you live that with the business owners you work with, and you have taught hundreds, if not thousands, of financial advisors. It's more than about the money.
Always.
It's about how it deploys, and you live this way. It's why we became friends. I found you in the room and said, that one over there.
I think that when people are like-minded, it's a lot easier to find other ways to collaborate and communicate, right? Because your values are a match of mine, and it's been a beautiful thing. We'll be working together for a long time, hopefully.
Thank you, dear.
We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back.
Exiting your business is a big deal, both financially and emotionally. I'm John Marquet, Certified Exit Planning Advisor with TrustPoint. We help business owners transition smoothly on their terms. Our focus is on maximizing value, minimizing stress, and giving you confidence in what's next. Whether you're selling or passing the torch, we make the process seamless. Start planning today at trustpointinc.com. That's trustpointinc.com.
Most business owners wait too long to plan their exit, and it can cost them. By the time they're ready, tax-saving opportunities may be long gone. The CPAs at John A. Knutson & Company help you plan early so you can maximize value, minimize taxes, and exit on your terms. With over 100 years of guiding ownership transitions, including buy-sell, succession, and ESOPs, we know the best outcomes transpire from planning ahead. If exiting your business is a future possibility, start now. Visit jakcpa.com. That's jakcpa.com.
Well, I hope your audiences are getting some flavor of whether it's the lens of a financial advisor helping families, or it's the lens of a family seeking and actively having help. What are some of the things you would look for in that relationship? And when you limit it to the number stuff that has to be done, is the result better or worse than if you include the rest of this stuff? Evaluate that for your own practice or your own family and follow through. And I would contend for your listeners, if you think it would be better if you included the other stuff, not just the spreadsheet stuff, Julie and her friends are a great place to go hang out and listen to.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think just being relationship-minded versus transaction-minded is a really good place to start. And that kind of mindset sometimes takes a while for people to shift because of what their training might be, or maybe how they started their practice. But business owners do appreciate relationship. You know that, I know that. Speaking of relationship, I know that you guys have got a lot of business owner relationships and helped a lot of families get from here to there that they could have never done on their own. And you've probably learned a lot through all that process, right? All those years, Joe, and obviously Sal's been around for a while now, so he's learned in practice, right, being in the firm, but also having you as his dad and hearing stories from you over the years. So let's talk about some of the things, because of what you've learned, have shaped the way that you're doing your transition, albeit it's over time, right? It's not, something that's happened tomorrow. I know it's going to be years down the road, but which it takes that long. So let's just talk about that.
Yeah, as it was coming up, I pushed really hard for the kids. Let me go back. My wife Annie and I parent together, but slightly differently. Mm-hmm. And I'm probably the one that pushes harder and expects more or demands more. So that can be harsh. My hope was that the kids always felt that they were loved, but nobody could ever tell them they can't do it, and they would never believe they couldn't do it.
Yes.
That they would believe they could, they would have to work hard. In succession, I've watched very, very successful families transition over generations in a way that they felt like a strong unit. I've also watched as families trying transition really drove the family apart. And especially when the driver or the control person becomes ill or dies, and the absolute terrible things that happen. So as it was happening, though I've got, thank you, Julie, a lot of sample size of watching others and counseling them, I realized that I still needed to ask my kids. I still realized that we had to go together. So we've been spending time with other, like, Kristen Scott or Jeff Dunham and his sons. In fact, one of them is coming to the next fly fishing trip. And we've chosen other families that are in different stages of, would you like to take over? Heck no. My favorite comment that hurts the most is, no, I don't want to be you. I want to be around my family more. Or the ones, I don't know I could ever be you. Or the ones, like I tell my kids, you're much smarter than I am. You're starting out way ahead of what I did. It took me 10 or 20 years to get the scars to learn, God, he's going to do 100 revocable living trust in 6 months. It took me a couple of years to get there.
Sure.
So is it a privilege? Is it a privilege to start ahead, or is it a burden? And then, like my father said, Joe, if you want to be in construction with me, you have to work with every trade on 3 jobs as a laborer before you start going up, just like Sal cleaned out trash cans.
Sure.
My daughter has said, I want nothing to do with those. I want my own thing. And now that she's 21 in business school, she's kind of looked around and said, I know this language. I've heard this language. And now she's dancing near us on maybe there's something there. And what is your thought about Maddie with us or not?
I would be elated. Maddie, if you ever listen to this podcast, you please show up. I would be so happy. It would be amazing.
That'd
My
be
sister
awesome.
is an amazing woman. If she
I
worked
love
here,
it.
I'd be stoked. Absolutely
So,
stoked.
all right. Well, what role would she play? If she joined the firm today, what would she do?
First off, she would probably be working with Mason and Ella and his COO, Shelly, who I call my Auntie Shelly.
Yes.
She's been working with my dad for about 20 years now.
She's awesome.
She's an amazing woman.
Yeah.
She'll most likely be working with them directly first.
Doing what?
Mainly branding, handling our branding, and then eventually getting into event planning with Kathleen Teplin and curating our Other Ship Institute events.
So she's
Now-
kind of a marketing type person then, business
She's
development?
a marketing genius.
Righty that. Having someone like that in-house is huge.
And she loves putting on major events. She does it in college. She's created things from scratch. An Italian car show at St. Mary's.
Wow.
The local vendors to do a market at the university. She's created programs from scratch.
She could be doing your events.
Well, but she has her own paths.
Yep.
Maybe she wants to be a full-time mom.
Sure.
Maybe she wants to be a nanny. Maybe she wants to do both. At this point, I think, like any younger person, it's almost sad that you have to think about what you want to be when you grow up at 20. And I tell a lot of my friends this, and their friends' kids. First off, my dad had 2 careers, arguably 3, and that was unusual. Most people had 1.
Yes.
The younger group that we have today may have 4, 5, or 6 different careers, so don't get too worried about one.
No.
Number 2, there are a couple of major types of roles. There's bringing in work, there's doing the work, and then there's the administrative role. 3 different types. And there's work for the government, work for a large corporation, work for a small business, or run your own gig. And if you run your own gig with or without employees, those are the 2 big buckets. It's not as scary as you thought, but if you're considering what you're going to be, remember you're going to leverage your first role into your next,
Yes.
either in the same career or a different one.
Yeah.
And agile leadership and agile learning are more important than technical expertise. And if you're lucky enough, if you're doing the work, are you a technician? Great. But could you transfer that to another line? Julie, think about your evolution.
Oh yeah, I look back on, just being an entrepreneur for so many years, that has been huge for me as an advisor, right? And some of the time that I spent in those years, I used to say, oh, I wish I would have, right? Kind of regret and wish I would have gone this path or whatever. But now I look and I go, no, that was all helpful in everything that I'm doing right now. So it sounds like that's what you're saying, is like it's never wasted time. It all kind of rolls into the next and just shapes your experience, shapes your filters and your vision on life and all that. I think it's all valuable, all the learning.
Sal and I really enjoyed our time with you, Jolie.
Me too. Thanks for being on the show, you guys. Any last bits of advice or words of wisdom for our listeners?
I guess best words of wisdom from me, given that I'm only 25 and 25-year-old with a lot of wisdom isn't really a thing. It's just be curious, ask questions, but if you got to ask a question that makes someone feel disrespected, ask it in private. Don't do it in public. Learn that the hard way once or twice. So number one, be curious and ask a bunch of questions. Number two, with the linear increase in knowledge comes an exponential increase in realizing you don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Despite the fact that I got a degree in finance and accounting in 3 years, young as SEPA, law school in 2 years, an LLM, finishing all the courses for the CVA and the CFP, taking and passing all the exams, and all that, there is so much more out there, it's not even funny.
Yes.
And what we do doesn't cater to the vast majority of Americans. It caters to this really small sliver of successful families and business owners. And there's levels to this game. There's not I know what's going on, you need a level 3 GRAT or a level 2 CRUT. It's really complex and it's changing all the time.
Yes.
So that's my second piece. That number one is be intellectually curious and ask a ton of questions. Number two, realize that there is so much more information out there, it's not even funny. There's so much more to learn and so much more to know. I got a stack of books about this tall for me to read over the next few months of legal, financial, tax, technical, and then business and interpersonal. There's always something else to learn.
Always. I think that's really good advice for every single person, regardless of their area of expertise and age and number of years in any industry, because I think lifelong learning is where it's at. And you're absolutely right. I would have to say that the older I get, the more I realize I don't know. Yeah, there's always more. So anyway, thank you so much, Sal. That was wonderful. Thank you, Joe, for being on the show. Thanks to our listeners as well. We just love having you share this episode, talk about this episode, make comments, tell us what you want to learn about, and we'll see you again next time.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.